Hello and welcome to Diablo Golden Ticket. If you're curious about Diablo but don't have time to die 1,000 deaths learning the ropes, these videos are for you. Be warned that this is a dark series with a tone of grisly horror and with little or no humor, at least not deliberately. So before we get going, I'm going to let you watch the intro cinematic. If you like the mood of it, aside from bad 1990s character models, then you'll probably enjoy being immersed in this game world. If not, don't worry, I've got other videos. Okay, here we go. Let me give you a general idea of what I'm going to do in these videos. I'm splicing together footage from 3 different playthroughs, mainly as a warrior, but also showing the other 2 classes a bit. We're going to touch on strategy, but since I'm a storyteller by profession, these videos will mostly be focusing on narrative and lore. I do, however, want to give you the general feeling of having played the games yourself, so anything I feel is crucial to that experience, I'm going to make sure to include. A little info on me, since you'll be hearing a lot from me throughout. I'm Michelle Baker, lifelong gamer and author of the urban fantasy trilogy The Arcadia Project from Simon & Schuster, among other things. You can find my Shell Games account on Twitter at games_shell. Without further ado, let's meet our protagonists. The 3 classes are presented more or less in order of difficulty. So my first completed playthrough of Diablo was as a warrior, and that will also be our main character in this story. Meet Prince Aidan, who has returned from a disastrous war only to find that the little town where he spent so much of his youth has fallen under a terrible shadow.
Thank goodness you returned. Much has changed since you lived here, my friend. All was peaceful until the Dark Riders came and destroyed our village. Many were cut down where they stood, and those who took up arms were slain or dragged away to become slaves, or worse. The church at the edge of town has been desecrated and is being used for dark rituals. The screams that echo in the night are inhuman, but some of our townsfolk may yet survive. Follow the path that lies between my tavern and the blacksmith's shop to find the church and save who you can. Perhaps I can tell you more if we speak again. Good luck.
When Aidan left these lands to go to war, his father, King Leoric, was already going mad, and Aidan has heard rumors that the captain of the guard had to put an end to him. Now his little brother Albrecht, who isn't even of age yet, is also missing. Supposedly the boy has been dragged somewhere into the depths of the desecrated church/monastery at the edge of town.
Please, listen to me. The Archbishop Lazarus, he led us down here to find the lost prince. The bastard led us into a trap. Now everyone is dead, killed by a demon he called the Butcher. Avenge us! Find this Butcher and slay him, so that our souls may finally rest.
We're about to enter the area labeled Dungeon, but most commonly referred to as the Cathedral.
The sanctity of this place has been fouled.
In Diablo, you get one save game per character. That's it. Every save just saves over the last, so you have to plan ahead to an extent. Take a moment to appreciate this music. The music of Diablo is a huge part of what sets the mood, since the graphics are so distant and vague. The deep drums, the high-pitched drone, all of it works to set an amazing, foreboding atmosphere. Hitting tab brings up the area map, which you can see and fight through, so sometimes I just leave it up, unless I'm going for serious immersion. There is only one attack for a warrior. You click things, that's it. I describe the experience of playing through the first few levels of this game as a bit like popping bubble wrap. Same type of satisfaction. At later levels as a warrior, performance is based entirely on your gear and on your positioning. I quickly learned how to make use of choke points to reduce the number of things that can hit me at once. These are fallen ones, small, weak demons, but the first that Aidan has ever seen, and probably shocking to him even after spending so long at war. When you run across a shrine like this, clicking it will always do something, sometimes good, sometimes mixed, on rare occasion bad. None of them are game-breakingly bad, but if you don't like leaving things to chance, there is a list on the wiki that tells you the name of each type of shrine and what it does. This one is a secluded shrine. The way is made clear when viewed from above. This one revealed the whole map, which is good, sort of, but it also makes it harder for me to tell where I've been already. Why does this particularly matter, even for people who aren't usually completionists? This gets to one of the most unusual things about Diablo 1. In this game, nothing respawns. Not the monsters, not the loot. That means you have a finite amount of experience and loot available to you. Dungeon level 1 contains this many monsters and this many chests, and that is what the game gives you to prepare you for dungeon level 2. There's no grinding. This plus the save system gives this game a strangely grounded and immersive feeling. You really are clearing evil crap out from under this cathedral, and there's no going back, at least not past your very last save. You have to think through your development. There's only so much loot down there and no other source of income. So there's also an element of resource management that doesn't exist in some other games, including the Diablo sequels, which both allow for theoretically infinite grinding. The basic rhythm of the game is that you dive down here, you fight until you either run out of healing potions or inventory space, and then you go back to town to buy and sell. As a warrior at early levels, inventory space is the limiting factor.
Too much baggage.
Inventory is literally based on space in Diablo. Larger items take up more room. So you wear the best of what you have, carry the rest until you run out of room, and then go sell everything either to Griswold the Armorer or Adria the Witch if it's a magical item. We'll meet both of them in a bit. But first, let's leave Prince Aidan for the moment and introduce our two supporting protagonists. The rogue in Diablo 1 is canonically Moreina of the Sisterhood of the Sightless Eye, a mysterious guild founded by Amazon dissidents that's now headquartered at a monastery on the very eastern border of the nation of Condorus, where Tristram is located. The Sisterhood have heard about the dark events plaguing Tristram and the riches being unearthed by those who have ventured down into the labyrinth to fight evil. Many of their number have traveled west, disguised as common wandering rogues, to test their skills against these demons or to plunder the riches beneath the monastery, or both. Moreina is the one who is lucky or unlucky enough to become an associate of Prince Aidan in the quest to free his brother Albrecht. One reason I'm splicing together different playthroughs is so that you can see each of the quests Diablo 1 has to offer. There are 5 different groups of 2 to 3 quests in Diablo, and from each group in any given game, one of the quests will be missing. The well at the center of town is a yellowish color in this game rather than blue. That means Moreina is going to receive the Poison Water Supply quest. Poison Water Supply is in quest group 2, which contains also the Curse of King Leoric. What this means is that if you want to do the Leoric quest, as I did for Aidan's playthrough, all you have to do is restart your game until the water turns blue.
Well, what can I do for you? If you're looking for a good weapon, let me show this to you. Take your basic blunt weapon, such as a mace. Works like a charm against most of those undying horrors down there, and there's nothing better to shatter skinny little skeletons!
That's Griswold the blacksmith, an NPC you'll be interacting with a lot.
Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen. The witch, Adria, is an anomaly here in Tristram. She arrived shortly after the cathedral was desecrated, while most everyone else was fleeing. She had a small hut constructed at the edge of town, seemingly overnight, and has access to many strange and arcane artifacts and tomes of knowledge that even I have never seen before.
And that's Cain, perhaps the most important NPC in the game, lore-wise. The gossip feature I just used with Griswold and Cain allows you to get semi-immersive game tips, such as Griswold just now telling us that blunt weapons do additional damage against undead, or you can start to unravel lore about the townsfolk and the situation under the cathedral.
I sense a soul in search of answers. The hand, the heart, and the mind can perform miracles when they are in perfect harmony. The healer Pepin sees into the body in a way that even I cannot. His ability to restore the sick and injured is magnified by his understanding of the creation of elixirs and potions. He is as great an ally as you have in Tristram.
Adria, who is not nearly as old as she sounds, by the way, is the NPC you need to go to in order to sell magic items you don't need. And you can also buy town portal scrolls from her. Those become super important later. They only had so much to work with graphics-wise, but they put in so many cool details, like the infernal light radiating from inside the cathedral, and the way it makes these distorted cross shapes on the ground. Very nice.
The sanctity of this place has been fouled.
So since this is a whole new game, we've got a whole new randomly generated level 1. The rogue is the best suited class for using a bow. It gives a very different feel to combat. You still click to hit, but it's more important to hold shift so you don't move toward your target. Dexterity is the main stat for a rogue. Unlike the other classes, it will actually improve your damage as well as your chance to hit. Rogues also have more capacity to use magic than warriors do, but I'm not going to develop that until a bit later. This Fountain of Tears will take a point from one stat and give it to another. I'm going to save and then take the gamble. Okay, it took one from magic and added one to vitality. I'm okay with that actually, so I'm not going to reload. So what's Moreina's involvement in this story? I think she's all about becoming the ultimate badass. She was sent here as a captain of a small band of Sightless Eye sisters investigating the trouble in Tristram, and she's very interested in honing her skills against some unambiguously evil enemies. I think she has the feeling that working with Prince Aidan, or at the very least kind of following along in his wake, is going to allow her to delve more deeply into this mess than her underlings have the skill to do. And she'll get to the truly challenging enemies. If she can save people, fine, but I don't think that's her primary goal. These aren't her people, after all. I don't know if it's coincidence, but my inventory has filled up much slower as a rogue each time than as a warrior. So I end up leveling up more and clearing more of the dungeon before I have to go back. I'm going to keep piling everything into dexterity until I start coming across magical spells I want to use, because that'll give me a clear idea of what exactly my magic stat needs to be. I'll admit I have a bit of trouble with the rogue because it's kind of a hybrid class in a way. It's expected to balance use of magic with regular combat, and I tend to prefer more specialized classes. Now this is a fun shrine. Look what this one does. Now don't get too excited, there are only a few coins in each slot, but you can pile them all on top of each other. At least until you get to 5,000 gold, which is the most you can fit into one inventory slot. See, I got to level 3 and cleared the entire first level without filling up my inventory. Aidan is jealous. Aw, the wounded townsman's dead now.
Your death will be avenged.
So who's our third character? The canon sorcerer is Jazreth of the Vizjerei clan. He's come from lands far to the east of Moreina's monastery. That styling fluorescent salmon-colored robe he's got on is called a turanash, and it's supposed to protect him from demons and hostile spells, at least lore-wise.
Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen. While you are venturing deeper into the labyrinth, you may find tomes of great knowledge hidden there. Read them carefully, for they can tell you things that even I cannot.
So that's what Jazreth is here for. There's a lot of knowledge stashed away under that monastery. I rerolled this guy until the wounded townsman disappeared from outside the cathedral, indicating that the butcher quest is missing from this playthrough, and we get the other 2 quests in its group. That means between these playthroughs, we'll get to see every quest in groups 1 and 2. As for groups 3, 4, and 5, I'm crossing my fingers and relying on statistics to ensure we didn't leave any out.
The sanctity of this place has been fouled.
Here are the spells and skills Jazreth has to choose from at the start. You get 40 casts of Charged Bolt from your staff, and you can use Recharge to refill your staff, but each time you do that, you lose 1 maximum charge. Not recommended. Just recharge in town. The Sorcerer is mostly recommended to folks who have already finished the game on a warrior and or a rogue, because there are more choices to think about, and honestly the interface for casting spells isn't the smoothest, so it's not a great class to learn Diablo on. If you can wrap your head around it though, it's the most powerful class in the game. It can just plow right through enemies that prove a giant pain in the tail to warriors and rogues. Left click hits things with my equipped weapon, just like the other classes, but the Sorcerer gets to do 2 different kinds of clicks. You can see in the lower right that I have the Firebolt spell selected, That means if I right-click, it will cast a firebolt. Targeting firebolts, though, isn't like in, say, World of Warcraft, where you target a thing and your spell has got some kind of homing mechanism. In Diablo, you throw your firebolt, and if the thing moves out of the way, you've wasted your mana. Bummer. At early stages, running out of mana is a constant problem.
Not enough mana.
There just aren't enough mana potions in the world. But luckily at this stage, even your staff serves to one-shot a lot of things. Darn it. There we go. Both in character and out of character, Jazreth's main purpose down here is finding tomes. As a character, he's obsessed with lost knowledge and the powers it might unlock. As a player, I want to find new spells and upgrade the ones I have. You can see here the lengths Jazreth will go to if he sees a room with books in it. The entire hordes of hell could stand between him and a book, and he would face them down. Let me at that bookshelf, foul demons! Okay, we found a book of Charged Bolt. That will allow me to use my own mana to cast the Charged Bolt spell rather than relying on my staff. I haven't used that spell a lot yet, and in a moment I'll show you why. A cool thing sorcerers can do, if you target correctly that is that you can cast spells and kill little melee guys through grates that they can't walk through. Haha. I'm going to be dumping all of Jazreth's points into magic for the foreseeable future. Okay, let's talk about Charged Bolt. I'm going to right-click that book to learn the spell. And then if you hit S, you can select it to make it your ready spell. But let's cast it with my staff for now so I can save my mana for firebolts. Charged Bolt is a spell you can't target at all. It sends out bolts of electricity, 4 to start with, and they just bounce around at random. By spamming it, you can potentially thin out a crowd of enemies really nicely, but you can't decide who it hits, so it's not exactly a precision tool. Yeah, let's go back to Firebolt. Like Moreina, Jazreth has managed to get to level 3 before his inventory filled up. I have to assume that warriors are designed to get more large drops of armor and weapons. That would make sense. More magic points for me. If you hit F1, you'll pull up an in-game instruction manual for what various keys do in the game. Here you see how to assign hotkeys to different spells. You can have up to 4 spells on hotkeys F5 through 8. Now whichever hotkey you press, that will become your ready spell. But given how far away the F keys are from where your left hand sits on the home row, I don't know that it's that huge an increase in convenience.
I sense a soul in search of...
Yeah. So this is how you get more charges on your staff. You just pay Adria to charge it up for you.
What ails you, my friend?
You'll notice that getting healing from Pepin does not replenish your mana. For that, you need to level up or use a mana potion. Hello again, Your Highness. So Aidan here is going to be the primary character through which we experience the story of Diablo. Moreina and Jazreth will hop back in mostly to show you quests Aidan doesn't have, or if there's something cool I want to show you that only those classes can do. One more note on what to expect from this series. I do not have the Hellfire expansion installed.
Well, what can I do for you?
Just a personal choice as it's not 100% official. Also, remember how I said gold and XP are finite? Technically that isn't true. You can start a new game with a saved character, keeping all your XP and items. But I managed to finish my very first game going straight through, so letting myself restart for more loot feels like lowering the difficulty level. I just can't do it. Aidan's going to empty out his inventory and repair so I can go finish off dungeon level 1, but since you've gotten a good feel for that level, next time we'll pick up with level 2 and our very first quest. Here's a little preview of what we're up against.
I saw what Farnham calls the Butcher, as it swathed a path through the bodies of my friends. He swung a cleaver as large as an axe, hewing limbs and cutting down brave men where they stood. I was separated from the fray by a host of small screeching demons, and somehow found the stairway leading out. I never saw that hideous beast again, but his blood-stained visage haunts me to this day.
Cool, that sounds fine. I'll see you next time.